Right now, somewhere, someone is complaining about the cold, and you are thriving. Your friends are scrolling through flight deals to somewhere tropical, already mentally halfway to a beach. And you are genuinely, completely, unreservedly excited about being inside your own home for the third day straight, with no plans, no obligations, and nowhere to be, and not just okay with it. Delighted by it, deeply, quietly satisfied, in a way you cannot fully explain to people who don't feel it. If that's you, congratulations. You are psychologically wired to love winter. And there is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken, not antisocial, not refusing to participate in life. You are just built differently. And here's what most people never get told. Winter people aren't merely tolerating the cold. Something fundamentally different is happening in your brain. Science has been quietly figuring out exactly what. So let's get into it. Let's start with the most obvious question, because it has the most interesting answer. Why does staying home feel not just acceptable, but genuinely, soul-satisfyingly, perfect in winter in a way it never quite does in summer? Psychologists have a term for part of what's happening: contrast effect, comfort. Your nervous system is not just registering that you're warm. It's processing the full contrast, the gap between the harsh, cold, dark world on the other side of the glass and the sanctuary you're sitting inside. Every time you glance at that window and see the gray sky, the bare trees, the quiet cold street, your brain releases a small wave of satisfaction. You're safe, you're warm. You navigated the threat and you're on the correct side of it. Summer completely disrupts this mechanism. In summer, staying inside doesn't feel like sanctuary, it feels like avoidance. The weather is good. People are outside. There is a faint, constant pressure radiating through your windows like silent judgment from the sun itself, suggesting that a responsible, functioning person would be out there doing something with all this daylight. Your brain registers staying home in summer as a loss. You're declining something good. In winter, you're not declining anything. You're actively choosing the superior option. The math works differently. The calculus has flipped. There's also something environmental psychology calls refuge appeal. Humans are wired at a deep, pre-rational level to find enclosed, protected spaces more satisfying when there's a perceived threat outside. And evolutionarily, winter was a genuine threat: cold, scarcity, darkness. So when you're bundled under blankets while it's freezing outside, you're not being lazy. You are satisfying an ancestral craving that runs thousands of years deep. Your brain is registering that you found shelter, that you survived, and it is rewarding you accordingly. The coziness isn't incidental, that's the point. And the activities match: reading, watching something long, cooking something that takes time, existing quietly under something warm. These are all low stimulation, high comfort activities. They don't require you to be on. They don't ask for performance or energy management or the particular kind of social readiness that public life demands. For people whose nervous systems are already working hard, just navigating the day, this is not laziness. This is restoration in its most natural form. Here's a question worth sitting with. Do you feel more focused in winter? More creative? Like your brain is finally operating at the speed it was always meant to reach? There's a reason for that. And it starts with something that almost nobody names directly. In summer, the social expectations don't just exist, they intensify. If you're not out there living visibly, posting sunset photos, attending things, being actively, demonstrably present in the world, there's this ambient feeling that something is wrong with you. Society has collectively decided that summer equals, fun equals, being around people. And for anyone whose nervous system runs differently, anyone who processes the world at higher sensitivity, who needs quiet to function, who recharges through solitude rather than crowds, that 3-month consensus is exhausting. It's like the world has agreed, without asking you, that your preferred way of being is a seasonal misfire, and then winter arrives. And suddenly, "I can't, it's too cold," is a complete sentence that requires no further explanation. "I'm staying in tonight" is not a confession. It is a reasonable response to the weather. Nobody questions it. Nobody pushes back. Winter provides social cover for the lifestyle you wanted all year, and for once, the world agrees that this is appropriate. Research on introverted nervous systems consistently shows higher sensitivity to external stimulation, bright light, heat, loud environments, dense social situations. These are all things summer delivers in concentrated, unavoidable quantities. Winter, by contrast, reduces almost all of it. Shorter days mean less intense light. The cold keeps more people inside. Everything gets quieter, darker, slower, more muted. For someone whose brain is already running at high volume trying to process everything, winter is finally, mercifully, turning down the dial. If this is resonating, if you're recognizing something in this that you've felt but never quite had language for, take a moment to like this video. It genuinely helps more people find this conversation. And if exploring the psychology of how different minds experience the world is something you want to keep doing, subscribe. This is exactly what we do here. There is also a cognitive case for winter that most people have never heard. Studies show that people focus better in cooler environments. The optimal temperature range for cognitive performance is lower than most people assume, somewhere around 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. In winter, you're more likely to exist inside that sweet spot naturally. Your brain isn't dedicating background resources to cooling your body down. It has more available for actual thinking. This is part of why you might notice you read more in winter. Why do you finally finish things? Why did the project that sat untouched through July somehow get done in November? The cold isn't fighting your brain. It's freeing it. Now here's the take that will surprise you. The darkness is not the problem. For many winter people, the darkness is actually the point. Seasonal affective disorder is real. It affects roughly 5% of people seriously, and that deserves to be taken seriously. But for the rest of us, particularly the ones who genuinely love winter, something quite different is happening in the dark. Early darkness creates natural boundaries. When the sun sets at 4:30 in the afternoon, the day has a clear, unambiguous ending. Your circadian rhythm is not fighting your schedule. They are in agreement. There is no guilt about winding down at 7, because your own biology is telling you it's already evening. The day is done. You are allowed to stop. Summer offers no such mercy. When it's still fully bright at 9 at night, there's a constant background pressure to keep going, to be productive, to maximize, to justify the light with activity. You find yourself fighting your own body to stay awake long enough to experience the darkness you need to feel permission to rest. It's exhausting in a way that's hard to articulate because everyone else seems fine with it. Researchers have also identified something they call temporal compression, the way winter's shorter days change your perception of time itself. Days feel more contained, more manageable, less like an overwhelming expanse of hours you're obligated to fill. There's an intimacy to winter days, a scale that feels proportionate to human attention spans. You're not drowning in sprawling summer light. You're working within something. And honestly, the aesthetic, dramatic skies, that summer's relentless blue never delivers. Stars that appear early enough to actually see. The specific warmth of a lit window against a dark street. A quality of melancholy beauty that is entirely its own thing, entirely unavailable in any other season. Winter darkness, for people who actually love it, is not the absence of something. It is its own presence. It is the atmosphere. It is the mood. It gives the main character energy, but in a thoughtful, contemplative way, not a performative one. Feature. Not a bug. But here is the deepest thing, the reason underneath all the other reasons. Winter gives permission to rest. Real rest. The kind that modern society has almost completely abolished. We are expected to maintain the same energy, the same output, the same social availability, the same productivity across all 12 months of the year. That expectation treats human beings like machines, consistent, seasonless, running at the same capacity in January as in July. But that is not how humans evolved. For the vast majority of human history, winter was a season of conservation. You stored what you had, you stayed close, you slowed down, and you did not feel shame about it. because every person around you was doing exactly the same thing. The season permitted it, the season required it. Winter people are still honoring that rhythm. When you love winter, when you feel most yourself in its quiet and cold and early dark, you are not refusing to participate in life. You are participating in a version of it that humans practiced for thousands of years before someone decided all seasons should feel the same. Productivity is not the only measure of a life well lived. The most meaningful things, the thoughts that finally complete themselves, the reflections that shift how you see something, the simple experience of existing without being required to produce these happen in stillness. Winter creates the container for that. For people who spend the rest of the year quietly apologizing for needing solitude, needing quiet, needing rest, winter makes that need legitimate. You are not being selfish. You are not opting out. You are responding to the season, the way humans were built to. So, what does loving winter actually say about you? It says you value introspection over constant stimulation. It says you understand that coziness is a legitimate form of happiness and not something you need to earn. It says you are genuinely comfortable with darkness, both the literal kind outside the window, and the quieter, more interior kind that most people spend their whole lives running from. It says you don't need external validation or a full social calendar to feel like your life is happening. In a world that is perpetually demanding more, brighter, faster, louder, more visible, more output, more proof of living, that comfort with quiet is not a deficit. It is, quietly, a form of power. So when someone asks why you love winter, you don't have to make excuses. It's not despite the cold and the dark. It's because of them. Winter people understand something everyone else is still waiting to learn. We are not waiting for life to start again in spring. We are already living it. What's the specific moment in winter that makes you feel most like yourself? The one that summer, no matter how hard it tries, never quite replicates. Leave it in the comments. You might find the descriptions are more alike than you'd expect.